Okay, here we are on overtime for the last time this season. Let me pose to you the questions that have been asked by people writing in. If you had unlimited money and resources, Michael Moore, what documentary would you make and why? Well, you do have unlimited money and resources. Like, when have you ever been stopped by that?
Actually, I would.
Docs don't cost a lot of money.
Yeah, I think I would make a film about
religion. Religulous. You'd make Religulous too, wouldn't you?
No, but you know, there's a movie that opened today by a documentary filmmaker by the name of Alex Gibney called Mea Maxima Culpa, about the Catholic Church and the whole, not so much about the pedophile priests per se, but about how the cover-up took place.
Oh.
Because the pedophile priests are people who are sick and who need help. The bishops who covered it up and moved the priests around, they knew what they were doing. They weren't sick. They broke the law. And it's stunning to me as a Catholic that none of them are behind bars.
Right. Okay, 10 days after the election, does it appear that the Citizens United decision had no effect other than driving up the cost of campaigning? Good question. You think that? I mean, we spent how much this time?
Oh, billions and billions and billions of dollars. In the presidential race, it had, obviously, Obama overcame that. In the Senate races, almost every single one, the targets of these super PACs won. Some of the House races were different, but I thought it was really inspiring that despite all this money, that there's one day every 4 years or every 2 years when everybody's got an equal say. And people came out and they basically said to the billionaires and the plutocrats and the special interests, you know what, we're not doing it your way. We're going to do it our way. And that's what makes democracy inspiring.
But it was good that the Democrats were able to match them pretty much in money.
Well, you know, but we didn't actually, Bill, match them in money, even despite the lavish donations of some good friends. But we didn't actually match them.
But close.
Yes, we did. But I mean, it is concerning. It's not a way we want our politics to run in the future. It absolutely isn't.
David, don't you think, though, it had something to do with the decreased number of voters?
Well, first of all, we'll see how many voters actually voted, because they're still actually counting votes in some states.
About Florida.
Yeah.
You know,
no, not just Florida, but all over the country. Let me say two things about this. First of all, we have to fix our voting system. We can't have people in the United States of America waiting 7 hours to vote. That is something that we have to do. And I think interestingly, in the states, in those battleground states, the turnout was higher than it was 4 years ago. So the people who were most intensely involved in the campaign actually came out and voted.
You know where money really matters, though? Like, we had a ballot initiative here to just label what foods are genetically modified. It was just about, don't you want to know what you put in your mouth?
Just information.
And it was polling at like 90% approval rating before the money got involved. This is where money really makes a difference. Because when people don't have hardly any information about something at all, and you have 30 days to change their mind, and of course, in 30 days, they poured all this nonsense on the airwaves about how...
You feel the same way about the money that was poured in on behalf of the marijuana initiatives? They were outspent, what, 40 to 1?
Who was?
The pro-marijuana forces had enormous financial advantages.
But people know about pot. They don't know that much about genetically modified foods. That's the difference. Is that, you know, it's so funny you mention that, because I remember when we were in college smoking pot, and we thought, you know what?
You remember that?
I do. And I remember sitting around in our dorm room bull sessions, and we would say, you know what? When we get to be 50 years old, and we're the establishment, and we're running the show, of course pot will be legal, because we smoke it now, and we know it's not harmful. And yet it took all this time, and it's still only 2 states.
That'll change.
Personal story.
That's gonna
Anyway.
change fast. Bill, I think that's going to change fast, just like gay marriage. People have changed their minds about that very quickly since '04.
You pretty
and
much,
I think
yeah.
they'll change on this, too. They'll change on this.
Okay, Matt asks, why do you think that when the U.S. uses a drone to target and kill a terrorist, it is celebrated, but when Israel targets and kills a terrorist in the Gaza Strip following weeks of rocket attacks, they are condemned? Very good question there.
Well, I condemn both.
Really?
Yeah, I don't, especially to sending drones in or missiles to kill civilians, regardless who's doing it.
No, this is not a civilian.
Is wrong. And a lot of our drones have killed
oh yes,
civilians.
That's wrong. But what Israel did, that was not a civilian. That was a Hamas commander. That was a guy who was firing rockets.
That was, well, actually, if you read the story in Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper today, that military commander was secretly working with the Israelis to broker a peace deal, and he had decided to.
No.
Well, you disagree with what they wrote today?
No, I
or-
think you have not. You have to read the rest of the story. I mean, you read the top.
I read the whole story.
But it's not. There was that he had
I'm not saying he was a man of peace. I'm just saying
he had some person he was talking to who had made a proposition to him, and of course he wasn't.
There are
inclined to
people who
peace.
don't want peace to take place because they're invested in war. This is true all around the world. People are making money off this, and
I think
But Michael, some of those people are the people who are hailing rockets over into Israel on a regular basis.
Those rockets are
from
not
Gaza.
firing themselves. You know,
yeah.
I mean, somebody's
no,
firing.
I'm
those
not. I condemn all.
It
of
says
that sort of
non-negotiable.
thing.
Israel has a right to defend itself.
Right.
Yeah, as do everybody.
Right. And certainly there should be a broader solution. Obviously, we also are sympathetic to why people in the Palestinian territories are living in conditions that they shouldn't have to live in. There should be a greater solution.
If you
And
were
by the
living
way,
in those conditions, you might be pretty pissed,
that's what I'm saying.
and you might not be thinking straight, and you
I'm-
may do things that.
I am agreeing with that. But I'm telling you, people like Mitt Romney, who say, you know what, we have to be in complete lockstep with Israel, we can never even criticize them, they do not help Israel, and they do not help the peace process. That is blatant pandering to the Jewish vote in America. And by the way, it didn't work. I know Mitt Romney hates the minorities because they voted for Obama.
I thought we weren't going to mention his name anymore. You just
Well,
promised
yeah,
that a
that's
little
right.
bit ago. He whose name
One
shall
more
not be
time.
mentioned.
But you know
like
what?
Lord Voldemort.
You know what?
Can I say something?
yes, please.
I want to, on behalf of those who voted for President Obama, thank you, Bill, for what you've done
Oh,
this year
come
on
on,
this show.
stop.
And the money,
That's so-
I'm serious, we make a lot of jokes about the $1 million, but I
It was
happen to know
just
that,
lying around.
I happen to know that you are not a wealthy man, and that took a lot out of you, so thank you for that.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everybody. It was a really fun season. I appreciate you endorsing what we do. We'll see you next year.
Real Time with Bill Maher. Bill returns for a new season January 18th. Ask Bill and his guests your questions right after the show at HBO.com.